of Supervisors to order. We have an agenda before us. I'd like to add under items a note allowing the chair to sign the reimbursement for the CLG project.
And item D, Carl Solomon for 28 E's. Want to have a discussion on that?
Is that for the watershed?
Uh,
Or just
More
general?
expanse.
On the-
General, I mean,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
second?
A motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried. Item 2 is County Attorney General discussion. Morning, Mark.
Morning. Don't really have anything.
I don't have anything either.
They're quiet.
No news is good news. They always
Heard we
say.
don't even have any prisoners over there for the last 2 weeks, so I don't know if that's true or not, but
I don't know.
We just have that paperwork, Lowell. Mark needs to sign.
I'll get it.
Later? Okay. Timesheet.
So is that it? I got plenty of other stuff to do if you don't have any
Yeah,
questions
I
for
don't
me.
have anything.
Okay.
Good,
I'm
Mark.
sorry, we'll try to think of something next week.
Okay, item 3 is action on tank bids for the pretreatment plant.
Well, you guys are all here on opening. We went through, we retabulated everything. Everybody had calculation errors, of course. But it didn't affect the outcome of the project. There's nothing significantly major. That is an official tabulation of everything now. Again, it did change the outcome. We've talked with the low bidder, just to make sure that everything is on the up and up. I know there's a big discrepancy between the low bidder and the next guy, and we kind of explained this last week, but the difference between the low bidder and the other guys are direct manufacturer and installer versus general contractor work. ASI, which would be the low bidder, they do their own formwork, they fabricate the sheets, they ship them, they install them, all with their own guys. All the other bidders, Waukesha, Dean Snyder, Pops, obviously they're not tank manufacturers, they're general contractors. They manage the projects, get all the stuff pulled in, and from what I understand, I think the tank guys that they were looking at were from California, so it's got the additional shipping costs and stuff like that, plus the project management costs. In addition, we were pricing this project out originally, months back, and talking to these manufacturers. We had the same discrepancy even going at that part. Working with ASI, we got some pricing, worked with another contractor out in Missouri, and their pricing was almost double. Everything that everybody bid on was all apples to apples. Our specifications had the American Water Works Association standards. It had the material standards. It had, we designed the foundations. We're not using their foundations, we're using our foundations. We did the geotech work to figure out what we gotta do to correct the soils underneath it. So everybody had the exact same bids. And if you go through some of these line items, you'll see there's not a whole lot of difference in some of the things, like mobilization. Besides Pops, everybody's in the upper 20s, lower 30s. Excavation, $2 and some change. Backfill, $11 to $13. I mean, a lot of these numbers are very, very close. Foundation work ranges from $65,000 to $77,000. I mean, very close. Again, all these numbers are real close. The difference is when you get down to line item 9 and 10, where you actually got the structure itself. That's where you see the biggest discrepancy. And again, I think it's just because ASI is their own manufacturer and installer and shipper and everything versus, having other labor to do it. Otherwise, I see a lot of these numbers are real similar across the board. There's not a huge, restorations, $1,200 to, $3,000 depending who it was. And disposing material was $1 to $2. You know, it's real close. The discrepancy, or the difference is just really in the tanks themselves.
And this mobilization, is it the correct number?
Well, and that's what, you know, even though I did point out line by line, some things look the same, we gotta be a little bit careful on being detailed with those numbers. And the reason being is that, the way I view these bid tabulations is like going to Las Vegas. People put their money in machines, craps table, whatever. Contractors put their money where they feel that there's the least amount of risk in things. Mobilization is guaranteed pay. The guy shows up on site, he's gonna get his mobilization. So a lot of folks load up the mobilization line item with a lot of their administrative work and things like that, because they know they're gonna get paid, even if we took one tank out of the project, they're gonna get the mobilization fee. So contractors move their money around, so I always kind of try to look at the bottom number in most cases. So when you get a weird number like that, and then also with their tank covers, for example, they have $490,000 in there. I know those tank covers don't cost that much. I mean, because we put them up all over the place. It's just a matter of where they decided to put their money to lower the risk of the project. Very, very typical. Did the water plant for North Springs, and the guy that got the project, Blazik out of Lawler, their mobilization was like $22,000. But Henkel's mobilization, 9 miles away, was $150,000. And the council had the same question, but the bottom numbers were very close. It was just a matter of where the contract put their money to minimize the risk. So I look at it in some cases, but in other cases we have to kind of take it with results.
Yeah. Well, thanks for clarifying that.
Sure, and that's because you know it doesn't take Kurt $100,000 to move across the street.
That's what I was thinking.
Right, but it's just a matter of, again, it's a risk assessment and a way to go. Other than that, like I said, we found some calculation errors, but they weren't significant. They didn't change the outcome. They didn't, add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the bids. So they're all corrected in the sheet that you have there. You guys got any specific questions about?
So we approve this today,
Then we'll
then
send
order
out.
goes in, and
What we'll do is, if you guys approve this, we'll send out contracts. We'll get the contractors sign them. We'll bring them back to another board meeting and have you guys approve the contracts and bonds, and then it'll be an official project.
so today all we need to do is
Make tentative award.
add an award for American Structures, Inc.
All you have to do is say so move.
Yeah, I know, Stan. So I did so move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the pretreatment tank bids, awarding the contract to American Structures Incorporated of Menominee, Wisconsin for increase right on the number.
Yeah, of course.
$1,337,901. Roll call vote, Flanders.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Ralph, aye. Motion carried.
What was the engineer's estimate on this?
We were around 1.5, so it's pretty close. Here's all the bids and the bonds, and there's some instructions down here. If you got any questions, just let me know. I'm gonna give them a local, work this out. Before I go, I want to give you guys another quick update. I had a meeting with Mark Block, last Monday, I think it was, and one of the things that we discussed, we're trying to keep the cost down on the project here, was having the county enter into a contract with the process supplier for that pretreatment wastewater plant. And after much stewing and looking over the code and stuff like that, it was his determination, that's why I asked him, because I'm not an attorney, that needs to go through the public bidding process. Because wastewater treatment isn't like, if you want to buy a 3/4 ton truck, you can buy a whole bunch of them and they're all gonna meet your need. Each wastewater process is a patented process. They are not even remotely close together as far as the type of equipment involved. So when we do a wastewater plant project, we have to pick a viable process up front and then design everything around it. So we can't bid out the process. What we normally do is let's pick the Osage wastewater plant, for example. We picked that process back in 99 or 98, designed everything around it, and that process was in the specifications, telling the contractor, you will pick this process and bid everything else out. That way it comes in as a public bid. One of the things we wanted to do in this project was have the county purchase that process ahead of time, because equipment has 26-week lead times on it, plus or minus. What we wanted to do is get that rolling so that when we bid the plant out in September, October, the contractor could build the building, and shortly after the building being done, all this equipment would show up and they could just keep going. That hasn't happened. Again, and I don't disagree with him whatsoever, that's why I asked him, because I was a little bit on the edge in this one. And he feels that that needs to be part of the bid, so it'll be in the bid for the main treatment plant out there in September, October. The only downside to that will be is that the contractor will construct the building, and there's gonna be a time frame. Nothing's gonna get done while we wait for equipment to show up. So we're gonna lose a couple months there. In the beginning, we were ahead of balance with this, little disappointment, whatever you wanna call it. We're probably right on track with balance, so we're not in danger of anything yet. I had nice comfortable space before. Now we're kind of chewing that up a little bit. So like I said, I still feel everything's gonna be on track timing wise. Just that I was hoping for a much bigger cushion than what we got, and we'll make it all work.
How many different bids you think you'll get on something like that?
How many people are calling me weekly is any indication of it? A lot. I've got a wastewater plant project in Stewartville, Minnesota right now. We had 6 bidders on that, and all 6 of them guys have been calling on this project and Osage wastewater plant. And those are guys mostly in the southern Minnesota area and Twin Cities. Plus, I've got Story Construction, I've got Blazic, I've got Dean Snyder. I really think that if we got anything less than 6 major bidders, I'd be really surprised. And it could be more. It'll be good. There's a lot of good players already around here that are working, and this is just a continuation. Like I said, Dean Snyder's very interested in it. Larson Contracts are interested in it. Waukesha, Dymar, Story Construction. I just gotta get called every week from these guys. So, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Try to save some more money, then, won't we?
I sure hope so. That's our goal. That's all I got for you folks today.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tom.
All right, we will get the contracts rolling, and I'll let Lowell know when they come in so we can get it on the agenda, and we'll go from there.
Thanks a lot.
Follow the directions.
Oh,
Um,
I'm not the chair.
Oh, okay. You can return all original bonds except for the 2 low bidders, and after 31 days, you return the rest. If you have any questions, you give me a call.
We'll take care of that.
All right, sounds good. You guys have a good day.
Yeah.
See ya.
item 4 is discuss CDL testing. I see Mr. Cooper's here this morning. What you wanted to talk about?
We're no longer offering CDLs here in Mitchell County. I think it's sad. But I want to know your guys' opinions. These are emails that have been sent to Pam, and myself, and Stan. Take a minute and read them. What's your guys' thoughts? What do you guys think?
Why don't you have Pam again go through the, you wanna give,
Well, like I said, the
you wanna
main,
move up the table, Pam?
Oh.
Please,
do what, Stan?
set up the table.
Oh, okay.
We can hear you a little better.
Okay. Like I said before, with the new regulations that go in, our testing site does not comply with the new regulations. That's the main reason the streets aren't wide enough. And then, another aspect to look, you know, it could, the way the new regulations go in, it could extend the CDL drive by a half hour to an hour. And then, if we, but when we get the $7 is only when the license is issued. So if it takes 3 or 4 times for someone to pass, then we've got more money into it. Effective July 1st of 2012, the DOT is also going to do online renewals. So therefore, that takes away our easy money that used to offset the loss in the CDL money. So those are the 2 major reasons.
Do you guys think CDLs are important? Do any of you guys have CDLs?
I get a CDL.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they're not important.
What about you, Mr. Morrell? Do you have one?
No, I don't. No, I don't
I
have a
had one
CDL.
one time.
Private
Do you
truck.
have one too?
No, I didn't at one time.
But as you said in there too, that when you emails the farmer with a truck tractor that's farms plated can do a chauffeur's license, D1, and we're still going to offer that drive.
I understand
Kids
that,
that.
but I think the CDL is very important to have.
And it is,
It's
yeah.
very important to offer.
But there's a lot of counties that never did offer it and a lot that are going out of it.
But we currently do offer it.
But our
We did.
streets aren't wide enough anymore for the new regulations.
So you're saying in Mitchell County, we don't have any streets that are wide enough to make this work?
Because the one down there is the widest one that they had. And that's where the state always implemented the drive.
So we have nothing in Mitchell County that's big enough, even with like new additions in our county, our streets still aren't wide enough, and you're saying the Mason cities are?
Well, they are out in that parking lot. And they're in the driver's license, they do all their drives in that big parking lot out at Sears.
Okay. So my question is we don't have any room in Mitchell County to offer this?
No.
The fairgrounds, the state sheds, none of that's big enough?
No, then you can't just go anywhere, it has to be, you know.
Okay. So you're saying space is the biggest issue?
That's right. Mhm.
So how wide of a street do you need?
66 feet
Wide?
wide. And that's because of that offset backing that they're gonna implement into the testing.
I just think that we need to try to think outside the box and try to figure out how to do this, how to keep this service, because I think as people age, as school bus drivers age, as your rock quarry people age, as your county workers age, people are gonna need CDLs.
And they still have the opportunity to get the CDL. We're not, I mean, they can do all their testing here, their written testing, everything else, it's just not the drive, the pre-check and that.
You know, one thing that I just think is amazing is, it seems like every year we'll see this big ad in the press news, keep it local, shop local, and we do a good job of sending people out of here.
Well, you know as well as I do, all Mitchell County people do not just spend their money in Mitchell County. They go outside for business anyway. They go to movies in Mason City, they go to Walmart's, Targets. You know, this isn't gonna cause any more going out of town for any more business.
I just think that we need to keep people walking through our courthouse. You keep them walking in the front door instead of sending them over to Mason City.
And a lot of CDL drivers go to that school in Mason City.
I
They go
understand
to
that.
the school, they furnish the truck, they teach them, they take them right over to do the testing.
Right.
So we don't get a lot, and like I explained, it just is a very small percentage of people that even use this.
How do you know how many people from Mitchell County actually come here? I mean, you in your email, you said 3 to 5 in the past year.
Right, mm-hmm.
How can you prove to me that that's all that was from Mitchell County? I mean,
Well, now I probably can't, because, I mean, we've had them from Butler County, we've had them from Winnebago County, we get them from Floyd County all the time.
So 3 to 5 might not be accurate. You might be more than that. Because, I
Probably
mean, I'm
not.
asking you, how do you know?
We have the
everybody
names-
in the county.
We have the names who come in there, and we know what driver's license, we have their addresses.
Uh-huh. So, I mean, you physically know that there was only 3 to 5 in the past
Well,
year.
that was just an estimate on that part of it, yes.
So, like, what does it actually cost the county to send your trainer to CDL training?
The last year it cost me $450.
$450.
And we only issue 10 to 15, which that was another estimate, so that would be $105.
So $450 for training. You know, in here it also says that, you know, 2 to 2.5 hours. I know when I took it, it was like an hour and a half, and I just took it in the past month. I know another guy that just took it in the past month, his was an hour and a half.
And we've had people that come that are 2 hours out there and didn't even pass the pre-trip. So yes, I mean, if they come.
I get that, you know, but it's a deal where I just think that this is a very important service to offer to Mitchell County, and I think we somehow got to figure out how we can comply, because as stuff changes, I'm sure this isn't the first change in CDLs, and we have complied. We need to figure out a way to comply and continue to offer this. This is a very important thing. You got a big rural community here that needs to have CDLs, and there's no reason to do them any other place than right here in Mitchell
The whole
County.
state of Iowa is a big farming community.
You're
A lot
right.
of them have to go to other counties to do it. Like I said, we've got Butler County, Winnebago. They haven't offered the service for a long time.
So my
they're
question to
driving
you
over
is,
here.
my question to you is I think you said that Cerro Gordo, Howard, and Floyd County all offer it.
Mhm.
So
As
are
of now.
our streets any different than like Cresco?
No, but when we decided to discontinue the CDL drive, they had a date of like May 1st that they were going to discontinue. A lot of counties went out of it on April 30th. We decided if we could do it, we'd go till the end of the fiscal year to do it. And then of course, the state, the DOT, they've changed the date, and I'm not even sure. So I think that's how Howard County is still able to do it. But we had already notified the state and discontinued them as of July 1st.
I just
Well,
don't.
You have to take this test.
Excuse me?
You have to take this test,
What test?
the CDL test. It
When
takes
you
2
get your CDL license.
Okay, once you get your CDL license, how long is it good for?
Forever unless you let it expire. So you take it once in a lifetime, yes.
Okay.
Or you get it taken away for some reason or the other.
I'm sure Gordo County's fairly close, considering that there's only 24 out of the 99 that still offer it.
Right,
So
mhm.
we're fortunate to have.
I think we're missing the point though, guys. I mean,
Well, you just want to argue is all about.
no,
this,
I don't. I'm
That's
saying
very
that
close,
I
You're
just,
talking 15 people, I mean, $7, 10 to 15.
I
That's
just,
$70 for the county.
Yeah, it's the state regulations that we can't change.
And
We
in
can't
this-
change the state regulations.
In this one email I have, it says services varied from 16 miles to 120 miles for people to have to go to get a CDL.
so I mean, do all, my question to you guys is, do all services that you guys provide in Mitchell County, are they all self-supporting?
No.
I mean, is there, so you're saying that,
Well, you got your CDL, right?
you're right, I'm not fighting for me, I'm fighting for people.
Well, bring those people in, I'd like to see who's complaining.
Guys, you're missing the point. You're really missing the point. I'm fighting for people, young people. Because I know a young kid that's still in high school. He's 17 years old. He said, as soon as I can get my CDL, I'm gonna go get it. And he just lives right west of town. And my point to him is, you know what, you guys gotta go somewhere else now to get it. And when we could offer it right here in the Osage, Iowa, and we've done it for the past, how many years have you guys
12
offered
years.
it? 12 years.
Mhm.
So is this the first change that we've had to deal with?
No, there's been other changes, but as far as the testing site, the biggest change is coming with this, yes.
Well, unless we could change the state regulations, we can't offer it anyway, correct?
That's correct.
So it really isn't our decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. The DOT has said this is what they're gonna do.
It's
This
a
is,
DOT decision. at
this is the
state
new
level.
way they're gonna do the drives.
So you're,
And like I said, a lot of the counties just can't justify it, you know?
I guess Josh Burns and maybe Senator Bartz is the one you need to talk to, I guess.
it's a state regulation, we can't change that.
I'm not saying that,
I mean, it looks like it's out of the county's hand anyway, you know.
you know, guys,
If it doesn't comply,
I can see this, this isn't very constructive for me. I think you guys are all kind of progressive thinkers. I'd like to think that, you know, we'd like to think outside the box north of town. You know, we try to get stuff done. And I think we are not progressing here. I think we are regressing here.
well, what's your recommendation?
Somehow we need to figure out how to
How do you
continue
make
to offer
you
this.
want the county to put in a street that's 66 foot wide? specifically for 10 to 7.
I didn't say that. I'm
No,
saying,
what I'm asking
I'm
is,
saying
this
is
part of the problem.
we need to investigate this more instead of just throwing the book at it saying, no, if we can't do it, we're washing our hands. Because that's just way too easy in life to do. A change comes, people are just like, throw up your hands, nope, we can't do this. We need to figure out a way to continue to offer the service here in Mitchell County. Because this is an important service. Stan, do you think it's an important thing to have a CDL?
Well, I'm just trying to go through my mind. You said the Sears shopping parking lot. What do? They paint something like the?
Yes, I believe so, Stan. They do all their motorcycle drives there, all their CDL drives there. Mhm.
So they're not actually using the street, they're using a parking lot.
They're using parking lot, and that's where their building is at. So I'm sure that was the arrangement when they went out there, to be able to use a certain area of the parking lot to do for the pre-trips and skills,
Sure.
then they have to go, and I don't know what their.
They probably have to go drive, I'm guessing, just like on any other street. You know what I mean? To do the driving test, just like we have to do here in Osage. So why, my question is why can't we go out and use the fairgrounds parking lot?
Because you can't just go anywhere, you have to have like an agreement, or that's not county land. I mean, you can't, this is where the state did their drives, so therefore they had already had that approved and we went on those streets.
But you just said
But
we need
there's
like
no-
66
and there's-
foot wide. I'm
right.
just asking, why can't we do a joint thing with the fair board or something? And I'm just asking, guys, why
Well-
can't we think outside the box?
And
That's
it's
what
all-
I'm trying to say.
It's all dirt and grass. There's no way to put your markings and leave your markings there.
I don't know if there's a parking lot anywhere that would be unoccupied.
This decision has been made. I've contacted the state.
But
You know,
I'm just
I-
saying,
and it's-
I get that the decision's been made, but we can look at other options, I think, Pam, because, I mean, it's not like it's cut and dry. I mean, we can always go back and look at stuff. I mean, just because you did it today doesn't mean you can't go reverse your decision. I mean, you guys have a beautiful cement parking lot out at the fairgrounds. It's top notch. How, you think that it's being used right now today? I don't know if it is or not. I haven't been out there. But I'm just saying, I think that there's places, guys, that we can do this, what she's saying, 66 foot wide. I think we can accommodate that here in Mitchell County. Somewhere I think we can. I really do.
Betty, did you have a suggestion?
Well, I was only going to say that Bob Fran, way back when I had to remove a tree in my yard, and he said, well, you can't without city permission. And then all at once he said, oh, that's right, Chestnut is 66 foot wide, so it's the widest street in town.
It's not 66 foot wide. I've measured it.
Okay. That's, I mean, I know that trucks
And it is,
used to,
yeah, and it is.
they
the
used to
widest
do it
street.
there. And I know he just said it's the widest street in town. I
Because
don't
they've
know.
got that additional extra piece.
I just think it's important, guys, to offer this, and I think we need to not just, as I walk out the door, this issue walks out the door. I think we need
Keep
to figure
working
out how to
Yeah.
figure out how to meet these new regulations, because it is important. You said something about short-staffed in there. Don't take this the wrong way. I've been in your office, and, I see a person's desk just pretty much clean, and they're not doing a heck of a lot. I think that if I have a construction crew, I want to see them people busy, 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 so you feel like you get your dollar's worth. And I'm not picking on anybody in your office, because everybody does a nice job. I'm just saying, you want to maximize your employees to their absolute fullest, and I think this is the way we can do that.
Well, when you work with the public, you have slow periods, but there's always something they can do. If they're just sitting there, then I wasn't aware of it, because they should have something to do at all times.
And another question I have, you talk about short staff. So like, let's say that somebody's gone in your office,
Mhm.
like on a Tuesday or a Thursday, because I think that's when you guys offer CDLs.
Mhm.
If someone's gone, do you guys offer them
No,
then?
we do not.
So my question is,
Because that would leave only 2 people in the office.
and rightful, and I understand, I agree with you there. I mean, so I don't think it's a staff issue. I think you guys can 100% do it staff-wise. I think you guys are all very efficient and intelligent to get the job done there, and I think you guys can still offer this service here in Mitchell County. I really do.
Okay, thank you, Ross. I think you should talk to the legislators on this, and I'll mention it to them when I see them too.
So just to clarify, how are we going to leave this? Are we just, as I walk out, this is a dead issue, or what are we doing?
Just like I said, it's a state issue, and you have to pursue it through your legislation.
So-
legislators.
No, I don't think it is a state issue though, Mr. Morrell, because I
It
think.
is, they regulate it, you just got it in your own email here.
No, we're saying that we don't have.
We're done arguing, Mr. Cooper. You have to take it up with our legislators, and I will do that, and so will you, if you're serious about getting this changed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Rich.
Morning. Hot one, doesn't look like the rain's gonna drop. Rock run, we'll probably be out of O'Donnell today, and since the guys, this is like a Friday for them, since Wednesday's a holiday, they chose Thursday as the floater, and then Friday is their normal day off. They're getting a long weekend, and then I suppose, I think on Monday again, they'll start up, and they'll probably be out of Wagner Quarry here, starting over there. We're about half done with the rock run now. All of our hard surface roads will be mowed by the end of today, so we'll have that done before the 4th.
Walnut too.
They should have it all. I was told that all the roads were, all the hard surface were mowed, or will be by the end of the day.
Today.
Yeah. It's come to my attention that all the hard surface has been sprayed, and we're starting to work on the gravels for spraying. We've got a lot of guys gone the rest of the week anyway, so today is kind of the only productive day we've got left. Just so you know, our office is gonna be really thin after today. Jim's on vacation all week, and then I'll be taking some time off. Claudia will be in Thursday, but Friday there'll be nobody there. Well, I'll be available at phone though, so if something does come up, don't be afraid to call. The notice for the applications for maintenance is going out this week in the paper. We closed the internal requests for foremen in the office we had, or in the shops. I had one individual interested in the foreman position. I sat down and talked with him for about 3 hours yesterday, just trying to figure out where he was at and what the concerns are with the job and everything else. And we didn't really get to talking too much about salary yet, but he feels he's up to it. I talked to Brian about him. Brian feels he can do a pretty good job for us too.
What do you feel?
I feel he can do a good job, and I feel like I want to give him a shot. I mean, Merlin is the individual. He's been here for about a year and a half, but he's got a lot of construction. My biggest fears are getting somebody in here that's not familiar with the road work and the county side of things. That's my biggest fear.
I mean, you can do it on a probation.
Well, and that's usually the way it is when we've got that. You've got a whole year of probation in there that, for any reason, if it's not working out, we just kind of swap out and work that way.
Why a whole year?
Well, you get the first 6 months, and then it's all about. I think getting in that position, you need more than 6 months to get used to it. You
Well,
need,
right. because you
heck,
got
sometimes
9
even a
months.
year isn't enough. But by then, there's a trend, and it'll get us through winter to know for sure. That's one of the biggest times is going through winter. But we had a long talk, and I know, we had discussions about things. He feels he's ready for the challenge, and I don't know. I think he can do a good job for us. We still have to talk salary and whatnot too, but I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts too. I know you guys don't have the resumes in front of you or anything like that, but
Would just one person come forward for
Mhm.
that?
and
Well, I know he's a good equipment operator.
nobody else out in the shops has even an interest. I think there's just when you get
The average age out there is getting up there too.
right. I mean, you've got
For 60 at least.
so I mean.
Closer to retirement maybe.
The other thing too is, there's a lot of time to get familiar with the job. It's not like he's trained in 10 years he's gone. I mean, we thought the same thing with Brian, but Brian's had different people are different, as far as taking the stress of the job. And so
So what shop does Merlin work out in now?
we'll see. And so we'll probably need,
Is he a blade operator or?
he's done both.
What's he
He's been-
doing now?
He's been running the excavator too, so he's been running everything we've got.
What did he do before this?
He worked for Mayor's Digging for about 12 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a lot of
He ran a
experience
dump.
with equipment.
He was the guy that ran the dump truck and had the track loader behind him, and he was told to go out and do a job, and he'd do it and come back when it was done, so. I mean, as far as,
He'd be a good individual.
I think he would too, but, you know, we still gotta talk dollars and cents, and, you know, we aren't to that. I told him by next week I'd probably know for sure what we're gonna do, and then if that's the case, if we're comfortable with putting him in that position, I know we advertised for 2 maintenance guys right now because we didn't know where the foreman thing was at, but we could easily just, yeah, we advertised 2, we'll hire 3, because we're gonna need them anyway come October, that part's done.
When you say maintenance, you're talking road maintenance.
Road maintenance,
Not
yep.
equipment.
Not equipment, no. Just the regular, the guys that do all, you know.
So we need 3 individuals.
If we bring Merlin into the foreman position, we're gonna need 3 maintenance operators, because Casey will be gone this is Casey's last day. Dwayne's already retired, and then we'll have that other retirement come October. So, it's nice to get nice to get a couple guys in right away. Now, we left the application deadline open until the end of July, so hopefully by mid-August we'll have an idea where we're at and who we're thinking of hiring.
You get a lot of applications.
I'm getting a lot of applications even before word of mouth got out,
Yeah,
and we're getting a lot of applications now without the advertisement.
How many's a lot?
I think,
50, 60?
well,
100?
I'll tell you right now, I have 40 of them in Worth County for one position. I've gotten at least 20 here without the advertisement, so. We'll get a lot, you know. So, okay, I kinda wanted to feel you guys out for that position. We'll see where we go, I guess.
Go for it.
I think you can do a good job for us. And I guess if we're wrong, and we
I don't know,
Yeah,
you
but I
are.
think-
you're pretty
I think he's-
decent individual.
pretty solid-minded and he'll do what he needs to do, I think.
Not, you'll find out sometime in the next year.
Well,
You know, if
You
he
know.
doesn't like it, you know, he may come to you.
it's up to him. Sometimes you just don't know if you don't try it. Be a short week, so you guys have anything that you?
So they're taking off the rest of the week?
Well, you know, they'll have the 4th off, their 5th is their floater, and they were doing 4/10, so Friday's already
Oh,
their day off.
After the weed spraying, you said we're all done with the hard surface, and now
What I was told was we were done spraying hard surface, and now we started on gravels.
and this is our man,
Yep.
not the official.
Right. Yep.
How long have he been doing this?
Oh, when did you guys hire him on?
A couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
yeah, it's been, I don't have my notes, but,
It's been at least 2 weeks,
I think it was somewhere around, like somewhere around the 13th to the 16th, somewhere in there, yeah, he's been on at least 2 full weeks. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong.
And that's usually an 8-week
I think it was around the 14th of June.
I'm just right, I'm glad. I mean, we ought to be doing that in-house and designating an individual as the weed commissioner.
Well, I know what Nick would come in during the evenings, wouldn't he, most of the time?
What's that?
Nick would come in after his other job, wouldn't he, to come?
Well, and he'd take his vacation time and then work.
I don't know if his schedule always was, but I just know Brian's been in contact with Joe more just because Joe's in now.
Interesting.
We're about, on the ditch clean there, we're gonna get to the Meyer intersection, and then we'll probably call it quits for now. The dozer's gotta go back to Cat, we rented it for a month. And what we might end up doing is, once the dozer's gone, we'll go back and start doing some pipe extensions on that road to get them pipe extended out. There's a couple we gotta replace.
You work from Meyer west? or-
We're from McIntyre to Meyer right now. And then what we'll do is when we're done cleaning, then we got grass growing again, we're gonna go and extend pipe next. And get that stuff all straightened up, so when the time comes for that road to get repaired, we'll be ready for it. And then we'll see what fall brings. If we've got some good weather this fall, maybe we'll go from Meyer to Stacyville. Or we'll do it next spring. Anything else?
Any numbers on the bridge yet?
I think where we're at, we'll do the 3 pipe, and I think I can get the same size pipe out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, so we're looking at, those pipe were $36,000, so that's delivered.
You think there's enough pipes in there then?
Well, that's, yeah, I think you can.
Okay.
I'm still running the bridge backwater stuff to make sure.
Yeah, you said
but-
it'd be a couple weeks.
But I think, well, I spent a whole day yesterday talking to Maryland to discuss the job, so I lost half a day there, but.
Yeah, that's all right.
But I honestly think we can get it in. It's a matter of, and that's the other thing, is if we're done with Meyer, maybe we get this other ball rolling and we get that bridge knocked out. The bridge is there waiting for when the pipe shows up and knock them in.
Yeah, I just wondered if you'd had any more on the numbers.
I worked on some of it, and then I had to go out and remeasure some things for some elevations to make sure I had the right elevations. But I think we're okay.
Good.
Well, it isn't like you gotta work around high water.
Not yet. About the time we wanna do something, you know, maybe we should start early so we get some rain.
Go tear the roof off your house this afternoon.
I washed the car, so maybe we'll get some rain.
Leave the windows down tonight, right?
Yeah, leave the windows down.
I had a call from Glenn Simeote, and they were asking for, I think, the day before Bratwurst Days, they wanna do a relay for life.
They had that bike ride last year. We rode from Stacyville to Meyer, back.
Yep, what they wanna do now is they wanna go north of Stacyville up into Johnsburg and take the highway across, come down through Meyer and back around.
Make a loop.
Make a loop in the, like the tractor ride, like the Meyer tractor ride, it's about that same route. And I told them, I said, I'll bring it up to you guys, I don't think you guys have a problem with it, all they're gonna do is paint little arrows on the road so the bikers know where they're gonna go. And then before that, they've driven the route too, and,
Nobody's ever asked us before, they just paint them.
well,
Most people would know the route anyway, but yeah, I think that's good.
so, I just wanted to let you guys know that, I told them it was okay, but I was gonna talk to you guys first to see if you guys had any
I
concerns.
rode on it last year, so it's a good thing.
Just hope it cools down.
Yeah, we got a couple weeks, 3 weeks yet for, we got the 28th, I think.
Yeah, I think 29th is broad date, so they'll have it, I don't know if they'll do it the day before, or if they'll do it,
They'll probably do it on the 27th, the Friday, I think.
yeah,
Saturday's Bratwurst.
right. All the line painting is done. I don't know if I told you guys that last week, I think they did in 2 days, if they're done and working on that too. If we do find some other things, they do have to come back to Humboldt County. So if there's a few things that we spot that need touch up before fall, we can still get them in if we tell them early enough. Well, they knock it out quick,
Well, last fall they were fighting the weather.
Well, that was our construction painting,
Right.
but our maintenance painting was done a lot sooner.
Oh.
They did our maintenance painting last
Oh,
year
that's
too.
what I was thinking about, the maintenance.
Well, then I guess,
Did you, come up with any signage there for?
I'm looking at 3 different signs. And I'm trying to figure out which one's the best. I thought, do we do double arrows that show 2-way traffic? I don't, this is one of those situations, Stan, where I'm looking at going, where does logic really prevail? And we've had that conversation
I
too.
know it, but
Where's
problem
this
is
at?
that,
Over by Kittleson Brothers there's a.
Oh, sure, yeah.
problem is that people don't always use logic when they're driving, and they tend to drive in the middle of the road. Well, then they come up to the hill, they don't quite pull, and it's not that easy to see. I mean, I used to
No, I
live on
know.
that other side, and you don't always see the car, way down the road and that, all of a sudden, and even if you're on your side of the road, that other guy isn't necessarily.
And I don't have a problem putting signs up, I'm just trying to figure out which one. I was being funny the other day, and I said, well, I don't know what to put up there. I guess I'm gonna have to try to make my own one, because I don't wanna put a regulatory sign up. I wanna put a,
Okay. How about just keep right?
well, and that's a regulatory sign, but maybe we can put it on a diamond sign and just call it keep right. I mean, that might be the easiest thing to do, and the quickest thing to put up.
I mean, it's happened to resolute.
I know it, but then that's just one more thing, but we'll get them. I'm not saying I'm not gonna order signs, I'm just trying to figure out, is there one out there that's already manufactured that fits the situation? And there are, but can we get by without a resolution? But we can put them up to say keep right, and we'll resolute them in and call it good.
It's on the grapple going to Kittleson Brothers, right?
We'll probably put them
It's
both
actually
ways.
past Kittleson's, I mean, right past Kittleson's, there's like a little hill, and then there's a dip, and then it goes up higher yet. And when you're to the east, that's quite a bit higher than when you're to the west. I say
And there is
if the dust
another,
isn't flying really high, it's not that easy to see something, you know, from,
there's another sign out there we need to switch out. There's an orange one, a construction sign that says truck traffic or trucks turning, and if it's a permanent sign, we can't have orange up there. Orange is temporary, so we'll try to figure out if we can put a
Oh,
more
is that
permanent.
the quarry up there?
Well, I think part of it's the quarry up, and I don't think that Kittleson sends too many trucks in and out of there. I know during harvest they do, but they're just like any other farmer where they're busy. But the other one is for the sand pit there, where they're taking the intersection, so we'll have to replace that sign with something a little bit more permanent than temporary sign that's up now. That might have been a quick fix and never got swapped out.
Hickory, did we ever get any bridge studies done for?
Not yet. I mean, I've got the stuff input into the program to where I know what sizes I need. But that's I don't know if I have that one with me. That one could be a triple 12x8 box. But that's DNR, so that's not in the, I don't, qualifies for bridge funds too, but we'll see if I, maybe, I gotta modify, see if I can get it shoved into the program to get in there to use bridge funds for it. Then we've got the whole DOT process to wait for, which we all know how long that takes. I was focusing on the ones that were closed and not limited by tonnage, but I understand how important that bridge is to carrying up that way. So it's along with the other bridges in my stack to work on.
Are these signs very expensive, and radar signs?
I have not looked at the price of those.
Okay, I haven't either, I got them, I'll look it up.
I can
Didn't know
look.
if you-
What are you thinking of putting those?
I don't know, I just thought, you know, maybe McIntyre might wanna buy one or something and put in, they have that mile through town and they're always complaining about the speed of the trucks through there. And I thought, I'll look it up, it's the email or the website's on here. So
Okay, well, I can look it up too.
radarsign.com is what it is.
I don't know if there's a, I don't know if the sheriff's department has a portable one they use or not. Do they have a portable one, do you know?
I don't think so. State probably does. We have one here locally.
Sometimes just the sign's enough.
Sometimes not.
They need to put a stop sign in McIntyre, but they hate to do that too.
Yeah, that wouldn't,
Well, that would
That'd
be their
be-
call, wouldn't it?
huh?
That would be their call, wouldn't it? I mean, that's
Yeah, that
Orford
mile
City
through
limits.
McIntyre is city.
Well, they're having a problem.
Yeah, I know, I just was curious about the price of these things.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm sure they're not cheap, but they got a radar and you got full power to them. They could be solar operated too, I don't know how they work.
Anything else for Rich?
That's a good force.
Yep, you too.
Stay away from the fireworks. Get burned.
They gonna have them, it's so dry?
I don't know, we sure issued a lot of permits this year.
Well, I mean,
About 6 or 7 or 8 of them.
what about the people that don't get permits? I'm out of county this weekend, so don't worry about it.
Alrighty, see you, Rich.
See ya.
Item number 6, approve the minutes. We have 3 sets. We have June 28th, 29th, and, oh June 26th, June 28th, and June 29th. I've read them, they all look good to me.
Had too many sets, I'm hard to determine which one I wanna go with.
So moved.
I'll second. I'll get to the official sign when we come out.
Good, a motion and a second to approve all three sets of minutes, June 26th, 28th, and 29th. Roll call vote, Walk.
Aye.
Hoplander?
Aye.
Morale, aye. Motion carried. Item 7, items of note, meetings attended.
At the county social services meeting last Wednesday morning, we held it over here at the county services building. That meeting room is getting pretty tight for when you got 17, soon to be 18 counties with all the staff people and everything. I think we're probably gonna, at some point in time, have to determine maybe 3 locations around the state to have these meetings because they're just getting bigger and bigger. Still, Bob went over the financials a little. This next coming year, $20 million the state has taken back. The state took back the Medicaid, as he had said before. That's the only thing that makes me nervous about this whole program, is that what will they fund and what won't they fund? So if services fall off, who picks it up? I don't know. And we were still projected, well, last fiscal year, which was 12, to have a $2 million balance. Was still projected. But his comments going forward, he says, possible next year will be okay.
Possible.
Possible, that's where it's at. I think Webster County is considering coming into our group also. That would make 18 counties, I believe. The Crisis Stabilization Center in Blackhawk County, down at the detention, they were approved for 10 beds. My understanding is they're being utilized. And even some out of county, out of our group, would probably still use those, because you have to remember, juvenile detention, that takes in a lot of counties in the northeast part, so we're gonna have to determine, it's $175 a day to go there, and whether or not we're gonna have a 2-tiered fee system. If you're a member county, it's this much; if you're a non-member county, it's that much. But then you also have individual counties that are also members of the detention board down there. So I don't know how that's gonna work out. It's not making any money, so what does? And we approved giving Bob Lincoln a 3.6% raise, and had 2 years prior to last year, he had no raise at all, and last year I think he got a 1.5. So, and it was that Social Security went up 3.6. Thought that was a good number, and that passed by 15 counties. That was my meeting.
I attended the OMU board meeting last Wednesday night, and they did vote 3-2 to join the North Iowa Community Growth Pipeline. Again, that's basically right now just a shell, but and since that time I have been communicating with Cecil Wright of the Iowa Utilities Board. I had written up the paperwork in order to do the tariff, voluntary tariff. I submitted it to Cecil just for his review before submitting it formally. He gave back a few suggestions. It basically was looking good. There's just one other aspect to take on how to pay for the maintenance of the pipeline. If that is to be a regulatory function of the Iowa Utilities Board to determine the rate on that. So we're working on that. As soon as that's done, I'll file that paperwork so we can get going on the Hinshaw line. And then the other meeting I had was down at Charles City. They met again on the Upper Cedar River watershed. Basically, an individual from the University of Iowa is going to be working on a 2-year study of trying to come up with areas of where they can actually start to apply some of the flood programs that would help to restrict. Hopefully, I talked to Susan Junkins. Hopefully, Carl and her can get together, work this thing out to where they can then resubmit this 28E, and I'll talk to you about that here in a minute on something on Carl. So, in any event, that was my 2 meetings.
Okay, item B, reappointment of Bob Jones to the Veterans Affairs Commission. I talked to Larry, Larry talked to Bob, and he's willing to serve another term.
Make a motion to approve appointing Bob Jones to the
Second.
Veterans Affairs.
A motion and a second to reappoint Bob Jones to the Veterans Affairs Commission. Roll call vote, Volklander.
Aye.
Walk.
Aye.
Merrill, aye. Motion carried. Item C, to allow the chair to sign a reimbursement for the CLG
I wanted to give you a little report.
grant project request for reimbursement.
And
Do you have an explanation? Or-
yeah, the state decided, or federal National Park Service decided that last year's grant, we could use $16.77 an hour for volunteer reimbursement, so I redid the form. I worked so hard to meet our match, now we've got more than met our match on the grant.
You work too hard.
Well, originally we said 700 volunteer hours, and we came in at 692, but then Leah donated 7.5 hours, because she did 7.5 hours more work than was in the grant, so she gave me a request for the reimbursed timesheet for that. So Paula said make sure that all of your paperwork's in order, so I've got to mail all of this into the state. And I just have a couple more people to track down and get them to sign, but basically I've got all the paperwork ready. And I'll be sending that in, I plan on sending that in this week. We should get back 8,000, or whatever it says on the bottom there.
$424.30.
Right, I did, I stressed a lot about, there was 2-cent error that Leah made. I finally figured it out, and I said, okay, so we're gonna get reimbursed 2 cents less, but, I have to use the numbers that she gave me on the form that I'm submitting, because I have to submit all for paperwork. I will need, our reimbursements for Leah, that they've been paid, the 2, and then for the, those books, $210. Right. So I'll need to submit all of that with this paperwork. And Leah, I think I left the CDs maybe at the Washington building, but Leah sent a CD. These are all the pictures that are on the CD, all the pictures they took, but she's got color pictures, and there's documentation of where they're all taken. And she also began, she was working with Fred Langrock and doing a national historic, doing a site inventory for the Unionhurst Gallery. So I think that's, as looking forward, I mean, she's done quite a bit of the work here. That might be something we could get together and get the Unionhurst Gallery on the National Historic Register.
Where's that at?
In Toteville,
Okay.
where Atlanta
the art
Sampson's,
gallery.
yeah, Atlanta Sampson's work is. So she also sent that with us and kind of basically got a site inventory ready for us for that. One of the suggestions she made was to start a website. So we decided to start a website. So if you go to mchpc.org, I will be getting her full report, because now I have a digital file on the website. I've got, reports, videos of all the events in May on the website. Just our posting, our meeting times, and that was one of the suggestions from Leah. Since I have my son here who knows how to get that stuff going, he helped me get that going. And he has to show me how to get the report on, but, he'll tell me what to do and I do it, and then I gotta start writing this down. Now, in talking to Paula yesterday, and then she called me and said, well, your reimbursement form, most people have to struggle with that, but it's probably the math teacher in me. She did mention that she hadn't gotten a letter yet, so the grant is still open, and, I'm willing to offer the county the match. I think it would help you sell, if you're gonna do a new courthouse. If people-
Excuse me, you were talking about getting
Yeah,
this signed.
did you have any
weren't
questions about that?
No. I'll entertain a motion to deal with this.
So move.
I'll second.
I didn't know, this came up with Leah, with Paula.
I have a motion and a second to allow the chair to sign the reimbursement for the CLG grant. Roll call vote, Volklander.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Morrell, aye. Motion carried.
So anyway,
Thank you.
I'm willing to offer the
Thank you.
match for the grant.
Thank you.
I think it would help you sell the new
Thank
courthouse.
you.
Would you just consider it?
Thank you.
You said if I gave you a check,
Thank you.
if we gave you a
Can't
check,
give me anything. It just-
Thank you. We're not on that discussion. You're not on the agenda.
if we added it to the agenda next week, would you, and we gave you a check? It's for the match for the grant. It would cost the taxpayers nothing.
Thank you. Please sit down.
Could we put it on the agenda for next week?
Please sit down. You have to talk to Lowell.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask you to put it on the agenda for next week.
About it, but she can set up a conference call with us.
Well, what I was gonna say though is, we're gonna have more 28Bs in the future. And if he would just go through and basically outline, this is what should be in a 28E. Because what basically happened is there was no boilerplate or something to follow. And of course, obviously after the fact, then, he had concerns. And I think a lot of those concerns could have been addressed if there would have been a, like I say, it's basically a boilerplate that says, this, and this should be addressed. And because, like I say, we're gonna have more 28Es coming up in the future.
Maybe that'd be something for our abundant practice seminar. How to write a good 28E,
Yeah,
how to protect your, because that's basically what he's doing. He's
yeah, but like I say, if he'd have a boilerplate that he could pass out then,
But I
that,
think they're all different. Well, but there should be some sort of.
but like you say, there should be some way to get out of the contract if you want to, or get out of the, so there's basic things that should be in it.
So what, the problem I saw, we started this way back in October. Then all of a sudden, now 11th hour, well, here's a 28E, everybody's got to sign it. And then, very good on my book.
No, and I don't argue with you on that neither, but I would say if
So
they'd
who-
had
who did-
boilerplate to, pardon?
Who did come up with it? I never did see who actually wrote that 28E.
Well, I think
Sure.
Susan Junkins had it done, whether she done it herself trying to, or if her husband Bob,
Well, they're both attorneys.
no, she's not, he is. But she was doing all of this voluntarily to help out, so I don't know, like I say, if she got some volunteer help or what.
No, but I can ask Carl. If there's I know what the boilerplate is, it's the actual code section 28E, because he referred to every one of those. Section 5.1 says this and this. You're not.
But it's also the way he interprets it too. Because like you say, another attorney can interpret it differently, and so you really
It's all
want,
subject to interpretation.
you really want his interpretation of, because he's the one that's going to give the yes or no, you know what I mean? But back to what you were saying, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, or,
I forgot.
well, you were talking about getting Carl.
Oh, he would do a conference call with us if we had any questions about it. you know.
I mean, basically, he ought to try to get a hold of, like I say, Susan and try to work that thing out between the two of them. Because I think we're gonna miss the boat if we're not part of that. There's gonna be a lot of funding that's gonna be available, and we could do some of that up here. And, you know, we got the biggest land area from anyone in this group.
I agree.
Recycle the most water.
I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll see what I can get worked up before next week, give you some sort of a report. Or maybe Carol has some suggestions or something like that.
But yeah, I mean, there's no hurry in boilerplate, but I mean, at some point in time, if it, like I say, if he could kind of write up something that we'd all have that, next time there's a 2080 to be had, why,
Just have something to look at. and
yeah,
go by.
something they could
And
follow.
Approved,
Yeah.
pre-approved. Okay.
Well, yeah, there's 5 pages. I thought that, I read it all, and I thought, you know, these are valid questions. You know, why is it a joint venture, not a corporation? You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna be handling that kind of money, and you said it was something like $8 million, I think that should be a corporation. You know?
8 million?
Well, there was some suggestion that there was 8 million available for,
There was 8 million that was gonna get divided with 4 different, so,
okay,
but even still, 2 million's
Right.
2 million.
so is that 2 million going to pay staff? But then, see, you mentioned that also, none of these people are on that board getting stipend or anything. But then if they hire staff, well now, a joint venture, it should almost be a corporation, see, the landfill's a corporation. But Carl has good questions, I think,
Yeah, I
good
don't-
comments, I mean,
I'm not arguing on that, it's just,
no, but that's, they can work those things out to everybody's satisfaction, I think Mitch County could probably join in. As it stands, it's tough.
I thought it was kind of ironic, though Chickasaw was the one that brought it up, and then they signed on.
They didn't want to, but one flipped.
Scratched his head and bought a little cattle.
Well, yeah, they were worried that they would be knocked out of the mix, well. Of course, if you look at the map, Chickasaw has very little of
Right,
Cedar River, they're more in the Turkey River.
yeah.
And Metro County's all Cedar River, practically, except for a little bit of the Wapsie and Shell.
Anything else?
Can't think of a thing, Bob.
Okay, we'll recess until later when we have the assessors conference board at 10:30.
No, actually, adjourn, because that's a
That's
separate.
separate.
Okay, we can adjourn then.